Welcome back. 3 Drink Minimum Podcast, episode 8 and 3. So 45-10, blowout, massacre, beat down. Arizona's just not a good team, so we don't have to spend too much time on them. But we can just talk about how the Chargers performed and just how everything kind of went and how we got to the score. So let's start there. 10-0, Chargers get down. So Cardinals march down the field, get a touchdown the very first drive, and did it relatively easy, 9 plays, 76 yards, and the 25-yard touchdown pass to Larry Fitzgerald. Nobody really around him. So the Cardinals, if you kind of look at their past few games, they actually do come out of the gate swinging like that. So not too worried. Once they get off script is when they really start to start to show their face of who they really are as a team. I think what I had more of a problem with is not the Chargers defense coming out and giving up an opening drive touchdown, but the Chargers offense coming out and going 3 and out. So run the ball, sack. That's not good. And it looked like Robert Kimdiche and just Chandler Jones, the defensive line in general, was going to have their way. So give up a touchdown. Next, come out 3 and out. And then Arizona gets the ball back, and they drive again. So 8 plays this time, so 31 yards. And then they're able to get the field goal. So 10-0 before you can blink. Chargers get the ball back, and that's when everything kind of went back to normal, and the Chargers were able to get a touchdown drive. That was where – so I actually missed this one. So I had left when it was 10-0 thinking, all right, man. First of all, I thought it was going to be one of those kind of games where it would be a blowout. So I ended up leaving and thinking, all right, maybe I need to go grab something a little more stronger than Diet Dr. Pepper. But I was listening to it a little bit on the radio and heard that Mike Williams had a touchdown. So that's nice. And then after that, here are the Cardinals' drives on offense after the Chargers touchdown. 3 and out, punt. 4 plays, 7 yards, missed field goal. First play, interception, punt, turnover on down. So that defense really came to play. And, yeah, they're not very good on offense, but you have to make them not very good. And the Chargers did a good job of that. So they shook off a poor start, scored 45 unanswered, and they got contributions from the guys that they need to be getting contributions from. So if you just take a look at the Chargers' first-round picks over the last four years, they all came to play. So we have 2018, Derwin James obviously had the interception. He had a big knockdown in the end zone, or just right where Arizona was about to score on 3rd down, prevented a touchdown. So 2 big plays there. And I believe Derwin also led the team in tackles today with 7 total. They just put so much on his plate that it's really unfair for how much they ask him to do and just all of the things he has to do around the line of scrimmage, as far as just fighting off blocks on these screens and getting over blocks on these run plays, and still having to play man coverage and blitz. He just does so many different things. And for him to be able to handle all the things that they ask him to do, and for him to be able to handle all those things and do it at a very high level, is pretty signs of a pretty good player on our hands. So it's really impressive to see James out there. But last year's first rounder, so 2017, Mike Williams. So his stat line is 4 for 25, which, no, that's not great. But the stat line that really matters is 2 touchdowns. And if you are familiar with watching the Chargers, you know that going from 20 to 20 is not a problem at all. Getting the ball in the end zone, converting touchdowns into field goals is the problem. And, man, if Mike Williams can be that guy for the Chargers, they have a really good shot to play deep into January, just if they can get that kind of production in the red zone. So, like I mentioned, they don't have any problems moving the ball. They are coming into the game today. Coming into the game, they were 56% in red zone touchdown conversion percentage. So that is good for 20th in the NFL. That is not going to cut it. And just looking below them, the only real playoff team that's lower than them is the Minnesota Vikings. But if you're just looking at the top of that list, Pittsburgh is 2 at 77. The Saints 73% at 4. There's a couple other AFC teams, just big teams in general, like the Chiefs are 6. But yeah, I mean, they just have to be better in the red area, and they were. And Mike Williams was a big part of that. So if they can trust him to make plays, and if he can come up with these plays, because he's had an opportunity, but he's going to have to convert those, and he did that against the Cardinals. So that is nice. And 2016 first-round draft pick, Joey Bosa. Bosa, 2 sacks today. Man, he looks good. I can't wait to see snap counts come out to see exactly how much he played. He finished the game with 2 sacks, man. He is I think he had a couple other pressures in there. He's just tough to deal with. And when we see him and Ingram line up on the same side, it gets fun. And for fun, I mean not for the offense. I'll be interested to see next week against the Steelers if we get a little Melvin over the guard, Joey Bosa over the tackle, and Derwin James coming from somewhere, whether he's in between those two or on the outside. Just get up all in Big Ben's grill. I'm going to be interested to see how that works. But, yeah, Bosa, 2 sacks, man. The Chargers have actually been really good at just pressuring the offenses this year. I think they were like top 10 coming into the game. They have been very not good at actually bringing down the quarterback. I think they are 27th in adjusted sack rate, just struggling to actually bring down the quarterback. And that ends drives. And we saw that. We saw that happen today in the game. Both of Bosa's sacks were on 3rd down. That's how you get off the field, sack the quarterback. So really good to have Bosa back. And, man, he really puts them on another level. And it's obvious to see what he means to this defense, even with just a few other guys that are not playing. And then obviously the year before that, 2015, Melvin Gordon. Oh man, that play was pretty frustrating so just like the train of thought for that play where Gordon got hurt on. So it seems like they once a game over the last 4 or 5 games, they'll run that little reverse play, double reverse into the boundary. And whether it's Keenan Allen throwing the ball and things going wrong, somebody throwing it to Rivers and Rivers getting sacked, or like today, Gordon being exposed to a hit by an unblocked player before he even has a chance to do anything. And boom, there goes his knee. So I was told it was an MCL, and I saw Eric Williams say the same. Hopefully he doesn't miss. Hopefully it's nothing crazy, and obviously that could change by the time you're listening to this. But best case scenario is he is out 1 to 2 weeks. Worst case scenario, I think we all know what that possibly could be. But, man, just didn't understand the play call. You're up 28-10 coming out of the half. You have scored in all the past 4 drives. There's no need to get trickier, fancy. So the mindset of taking a shot play at that area of the field is great. I love that. But you don't have to have trick plays to do so. And it seems like for Wiz, that's his go-to to draw up a trick play at that part of the field. So scrap that before someone else gets hurt. It's not like the plays have ever worked to date. But on the field, man, Gordon was great. Gordon was running determined as ever. He was breaking tackles. He was finishing runs tough. He was decisive. Decisive Gordon is very good. So I know it took a while to get here, but it's tough to hate on that guy now, man. He finished with 10 carries, 61 yards, 2 touchdowns. He had a long of 28. And, I mean, he makes them better. So we will see how that turns out next next week. But yeah, those are just getting that sort of production from your first round draft picks. That's big time, man. The Charger, it makes Tom Telesco look very good by hitting on these first round picks, especially if Williams can kind of show up. Just if he can show up in 2 of these next games, if he just shows up every other game and take some of the pressure off of Keenan Allen, that'll be big for the offense. So we'll see how that goes. Philip Rivers was on point today. Holy hell, man. So set the single game record for 25 completions in a row. I know Tannehill had the same thing, but that was over the course of 2 games. Whatever, it doesn't count. Throw the ball more. Rivers started 25 for 25, and then he got hit, and I'm pretty sure it was Feeney's guy who got beat, Feeney, we will get there, goodness gracious. But he got hit and ruined the streak, but Rivers finished 28 of 29 on that touchdown to Mike Williams. That ball placement was perfect, man. You can't really throw it much better than that. A couple plays before that, they caught Keenan Allen on Trey Boston on a corner route for like 20 yards. Again, his timing and where he's putting these passes is it's really ridiculous. When he plays so obviously when he goes 25 for 25, of course they're going to be tough to beat. But I just feel like for most of the year, he's turned me almost into a Rivers apologist just by the way that he's playing, because some of these offensive linemen, I guess, who we'll get to next, we'll just say some of these guys should not be playing right now. And Feeney is certainly one. But Geno Smith came into the game, went 0 for 3, had more incompletions in 1-2 series than Rivers did the entire game. But yeah, man, it's good to see Rivers playing at the rate, playing this style, while also still throwing the ball down the field. I really like that. So it's not like he was out here taking just dump off, dump off, dump off. He's pushing the ball down the field. And I like that little play to Travis Benjamin where there was a little trickeration going on, as they say. Shout out to Travis Benjamin actually today. It honestly seemed like Benjamin was playing for his life. He was playing like his job depended on it. You can watch Travis Benjamin and tell me you've seen him try as hard as he did today. It was almost like they yanked him to the side and was like, "Hey, man, if you run out of bounds one more time, you just don't come back. Or if you play soft one more time, just don't come back." He looked a little more electric, man. Benjamin looked like he had some juice and was breaking some tackles, and obviously had that longer catch, but finished with 47 yards, which they will take that from him every game. Speaking as some of the other guys, I think that they can do a better job, honestly, of just kind of manufacturing plays for the tight ends. So Gates had that 18-yard play. I think he converted a first down on that one. But if you remember the throw it was the throw up the seam to Sean Culkin, just off like a play action, I believe it was. Those are the type of plays that they can get with these tight ends. Like, you don't have to have a prime Antonio Gates to get production out of the tight end. You can still draw up plays, and Rivers is smart enough to manipulate the defense and go where he needs to go. But I would like to see more of that, just, changing it up like it was and getting the ball to a Culkin or to a Green. And obviously you're going to have Keenan Allen underneath and on the money downs, but changing it up and going to the tight ends is always a good look. And that's how you're going to have to keep these better teams or these playoff teams off balance, because eventually they're going to double Keenan or a Gates. So with the offensive line, just another day. It's really another day at the office. Bob Kondichi was having his way early on and often. He finished with, I believe he had 3 sacks. I think he had 4 tackles for loss. He had a couple other quarterback hits and I imagine a handful of pressures. He was eating the boys up inside, man. know that this is not going to be very popular, especially based off the season that he has had. But as good as Mike Pouncey is, I honestly think that he would have a better impact at guard, at specifically left guard for the Chargers. So Dan Feeney, if you guys remember, the Chargers were going to put him at center, and I'm pretty sure he played center in the NFL, or at least practiced quite a bit. So, man, I would almost swap those two if you had to leave Feeney on the field. If you feel like he's a better center option than Quesenberry, swap those two, man, because Pouncey is not going to get beat in pass protection as easy as Feeney is. Feeney is almost a hike, and he's already getting beat off the initial move. Pouncey looks really good in pass protection, but from the center position, he can only do so much. He can only help out so much, and he's always, calling out blitzes and sliding different ways. So you can only slide him to Feeney's side so often. So instead of doing that, take the pressure off of Feeney, move Feeney to center, let him be the guy that helps out on these run plays and helps out on these pass plays and isn't directly involved in having to block an athletic defensive lineman like Kimdiche or a Chris Jones, as we'll see in a couple weeks. Or hell, the Ravens have a tough defensive line. So the Steelers will next week as well, and Hayward. So obviously it's too late in the season, and that will probably not happen even in the offseason. But Feeney has been bad, and he has been so bad that it is really tough to hide how poorly he's played, and Kimdiche just took advantage of that today. But, I mean, the Cardinals, they were able to get some pressure from a couple other spots, like Chandler Jones. I forgot who he did beat, but they were getting pressure early and enough to stall or at least put the Chargers behind the chains in a couple of drives. The good news is the Chargers were able to kind of bounce back from those plays. Like, I believe the Gates catch came fresh off a sack and converted to a 2nd and 20. So they're able to get big plays to offset that. But these offensive line issues are not going to go away anytime soon if the Chargers keep on, kind of trotting the same guys out there and hoping that there isn't going to be, or hoping that there's going to be a different result. Keep getting a bunch of Forrest Lamp questions. I think Coach Lynn said something about, how he just values Schofield's veteran leadership and a bunch of other soft factors that you usually say when you don't really want to say what you want to say. So, I mean, why can't Lamp play left guard if you love Schofield? Because Feeney is not it. But from what I remember today, without rewatching it, I know Tevy had a block that sprung. I believe it was Gordon on one of his longer runs. But Tevy's, inconsistent. But today he looked good, and that's really all you can ask for from a guy who was drafted where he was, or basically the value of his position or him as a player. But let's get back to the defense here real quick. So, how about that defense? The first quarter, I think they had 108 yards. The Cardinals had 108 yards. After that, they had 41 yards. So after that, they averaged – so I think they had 17 plays on 41 yards. So they averaged 2.4 yards per play, I believe it was. Just something – ridiculous, something that you just do not see on honestly any level. You don't see that at the high school level. I never see that. So to hold an NFL team to 2.4 yards over the course of 3 quarters when they have good play, like David Johnson is a very good player. He's good to break one a game. Christian Kirk is explosive. Larry Fitzgerald is Larry Fitzgerald, and I don't know, man. It's just I know that they're the Cardinals. I know they have a rookie quarterback, and he wasn't confident and missing their starting tackle, DJ Humphries. But still, explosive plays happen in the NFL. So to hold them to that 2.4 yards per play over 3 quarters is really impressive. Heading into this game, The Chargers were first over the last 7 games in points per game. I think it was 16.6. So 10 will help. 10 will help that number for sure. They just get the ball just seems to be bouncing their way. So somebody asked me last week, why do I have so much confidence, or why does it seem like I have so much confidence when I watch them? It just seems like over and over this year the ball's been rolling their way. They've been getting the right bounces, and it just seems like you know they have what it takes. Like, this is what they need to be. Speaking of bounces and just bouncing back, it seems like we have Jatavis Brown back to normal. So back to his rookie year where he was very, very good. And last year he actually played like half of the snaps, which didn't really seem like it, but he he's been coming to play the last month, that's for sure. I can tell you that. He was tied for Derwin with the lead in tackles today. He had a tackle for loss. He had another play where he's running right past guys and blew up his screen. His speed, man, his speed really sets the tone for this defense and kind of encapsulates just like what this defense is. They're small, but they're fast, and they can beat you with that speed, and that's how they get off the field. Early in the season, I felt like Jatavis was playing real passive, and he was just kind of sitting back and kind of going with the flow and just not playing real aggressive. Like his playing style is aggressive, reckless. I'm going to get you. Like even if I miss the tackle, I'm going to come flying in. Very Adai actually, but his technique and just play style works much better for him because he is that fast. And we're seeing that pay off the last month or so. So it's really nice to see Jatavis turn back into that consistent speed threat on the second level. And he's making a difference even without Denzel, which is good because was not sure how that was going to go. I didn't know if he needed to be the thumper, like he needed a thumper to be clean. So Chargers don't have that, and obviously that is it's good. It's good to see Jatavis. So we are going to see him over the next month, man. Pressure's going to be on him. Going to have some power running teams probably each game, and it's really going to be on him to stop Connor, Mixon, Lindsey again, and whoever one of the 4 running backs the Ravens tried out. But good to see JB out there. Going back to how we all know he's capable of playing. And speaking of coming back into form, I need to look at this. I need to look at Casey Hayward's numbers because it feels like quietly he has been trending back to the direction that we are all used to. So he doesn't have the interception numbers, and yeah, that's fine. But he had one coverage today where he was against Christian Kirk, the Arizona's rookie receiver, and so Kirk is probably a good 2 steps, 3 steps faster than Hayward. But his technique was so good that he was able to cut him off and still run with him stride for stride, and basically stop any of that catch. So let's see here. Looking at some of Hayward's targets, so it actually has improved quite a bit. So he has 35 targets, and that was before today. His success rate was 54%, but a couple weeks ago when I looked, it was low 40s. So he is absolutely trending in the right direction. Man, he has to. He really has no choice. Next week is going to be huge for Hayward. There is no easy target. The Browns. The Steelers have AB, obviously one of the best receivers in the NFL, but they also have Juju, man, and Juju is a tough cover. And I think we saw a little bit today. I want to say they will even throw it up to the rookie James Washington, but the first 2 are obviously where Hayward will be locked on. I don't know if he's going to follow AB. I don't know if you want to do that because I would not say Michael Davis is a great option against Juju. Still, though, Casey Hayward trending in the right direction, getting some confidence back at the perfect time.